Hello and welcome, guys. So this is going to be a video about WebSockets, specifically how to use them in NestJS. If you watched my live streams, for the past few days I've been testing performance of server-sent events against WebSockets, so I thought it would be nice to make a video just about WebSockets, an intro explaining how they work. So this video obviously will focus on NestJS. Also, I will talk about HTTP against WebSockets, so what is the difference. Then we will build an application and I will show you how to broadcast messages to all our connected clients, how to send direct messages to specific client, and obviously how to join chat and send messages within a chat room. All right, the first one actually, I think we're gonna do HTTP against WebSockets, so it's gonna be clearer what are we doing in this video and overall what are WebSockets. All right, let's jump into another diagram. Okay, so I have the diagram to show the flow of data. Let's assume we have obviously client, which will send requests, our HTTP server and WebSocket server. So this will be in the same code base. I'm just separated them to show different flows. And the HTTP flow is considered to be stateless and WebSockets are stateful. So what is stateless? What is stateful? So let's talk about stateless first. So stateless, it means that our HTTP server will treat every request as an independent one. It doesn't hold any information about client in between of requests. And each client's request must contain all the information the server needs to process this request. Okay, let's me show an example to make it clearer. So let's assume our client wants to fetch some data. And this data is protected by authorization guard, whatever. So we need to first send login request, then get the token, then add this token somewhere, probably like in a header or in a cookie, and then send the request. And then let's assume we are getting successful data in the response. What will happen if the same, let's say different client number 2 does the same flow, but then sends the request without the token, right? He will get unauthorized. So this is essentially what stateless is, right? It's not that we are not holding any information about client in a database, right? This is application level state. We are talking about protocol, that our HTTP server doesn't know who's sending any request, who was doing authorization, who was doing fetching. It just requires all the information, for example, for fetch request to be right now provided. So we need to provide like header with authorization token, and we need to provide maybe body, whatever, not for a fetch request, but maybe for something else, right? So everything must come straight away in this request. And then our server will process business logic and return the response. And if client wants to send, like client 3 wants to send request, everything starts from the beginning, or even client 2, right? So they are going from the same request response flow over and over and over again. Server doesn't know anything about them. So once again, HTTP is stateless, no session maintained. All right, now let's talk about WebSockets and stateful. So when we send WebSocket handshake request, our server responds actually with 101 and we are switching protocols and we are opening persistent connection. So what does it mean? It means that first time we're sending request, probably we will do authorization. So we provide all needed information. We are switching protocol and now we can exchange real-time data. Right now, client can send all messages as he wants, as many times as he wants. We don't need to start the process from the scratch. And the server can push notifications or whatever, push, respond in a live chat once again, anytime he wants. Obviously, WebSockets are coming with more complexity. You need to maintain connection, and as long as the connection is open, right, we can send the messages. But maintaining connection, that's for another topic. Now, with that basics out of the way, I think let's jump in the code and start building the app. Okay, so I have a chat WebSocket gateway already with some code because I've been doing coding before on my live stream, so I had the setup already done. What we are doing here is we are handling connection and handling disconnect. But important parts here, we are implementing 3 interfaces on gateway init. They are kind of self-explanatory, but we can take a look right here after init, what happens once our server is initialized on gateway connection, so handle connection, and on gateway disconnect. Right, handle disconnect. And as you can see, I have all 3 methods here already. So why do we have these interfaces and how they are getting triggered automatically is because we decorated our class with this decorator, WebSocket gateway. So we essentially mark this class as a WebSocket server. And as you can see, all the inputs are coming from NestJS WebSockets, and we are using some types from Socket.io. I don't think we're going to use these classes for anything else. And yeah, let's take a look. So after init, I'm just logging that server is running. For handle connection as well, we are just logging the information, but here we can do something with the client, for example, store information into database, or we can perform authorization here and reject request here. It's up to us, right? But for simplicity's sake, I'm just logging the info here, and then handle disconnect, right? We are removing all listeners and disconnecting. All right, now let's see how we can connect to our backend. Okay, I think, yeah, my server is actually up and running. I'm using Docker in this example because I was doing some testing with it. And actually before that, I need to inject this token. So I have events module with other services. As I said before, I was doing some testing and I've added into my events module, and the events module is just being imported into our app module, right? So it's just a regular provider which you just need to add into your app module and it's going to work. Right, so now we have chat WebSocket gateway injected, and now let's see if we can connect to it. So let's, okay, we're going to be using Postman. I'm not going to be writing actual client, but Postman is plain enough. So if you want to do the same, you can create new request and here select socket.io. As you can see here, I'm specifying URL WS, localhost 3000. 3000 is the port I'm running in. And let me just clear messages and then we will send connect. As you can see, we are connected. And as you can see, we got the log about it as well. And yeah, we can take a look. And as you can see, right here, we got 101 switching protocols, the same as I showed you on a diagram earlier. Okay, so we can disconnect as well, and we should get a message about it as well, right? We disconnected, and the client ID, right, is the same. As you can see, the server persists the information. It knows which client we are dealing. And the client ID is just being on a client, right, which we are receiving in handle connection or handle disconnect. So I'm not storing it anywhere. Okay, now let's actually do some broadcasting of the messages. Okay, so I've added the following method, handle broadcast. As you can see, we added another decorator, subscribe message, which subscribes to message that fulfills chosen pattern. And the chosen pattern is basically where we're going to send our messages in our WebSocket connection. And then we are emitting, as you can see, yeah, let's go through payload. We are receiving message body. I just set it up any, but you can add a proper type here. And we are receiving the same client we are getting on handle connect, handle disconnect. And then we are emitting event into the same, let's say, topic. And right, we are just adding some dummy information, right, from which client and whatever. So here I'm using the same topic in which I'm emitting, but they can be different, right? You can emit with your server to any topic. And here, as you can see, we are just hitting server emit. This means that it will emit to all the clients. Okay, so what should happen? We should emit, one client should emit message here, and the second client, any client who is connected will receive this message. So let's take a look. We have a first client, we are connecting it, right? We got the connection, and now we're gonna connect this second one. And what we need to do in the events tab, we can start listening. And as you can see, we are listening to broadcast. And I will do the same for this client as well. And now, as you can see, we are listening to broadcast, listening to broadcast. And now if I will send message to broadcast, and ACK is just an acknowledgement, we want to receive the acknowledgement. And now if I will send the message to this broadcast, as you can see, we sent a message, right? This is outgoing and this is incoming. We received this broadcast, and now we should get the same one in the second client, right? And actually we did, and the client is the same, right? This is the ID of the client number one. So if the second client will now send the message as well to the broadcast, we should get as well, one message was sent, one received, but the client ID is different. All right, and we got the same client ID. Okay, now let's see how we can send direct messages to each client. Let me see that everything is correct. Yes. Okay, so we will use the following handle message method. Once again, we are subscribing to message. the same stuff in the we are receiving. And here we are just I've added like original message, what we are receiving. We can receive either string, we will parse it, or basically we are parsing what we are receiving and sending back the same thing. The most important part here, as you can see, we added two client ID and we will emit into message. So let's see. So if we are emitting, one client should receive it and the second one should not. Let's test it out. Okay, we will add here message for both of them. And now client 1 will send message to message. So the first client should receive it and the second should not. All right, we send the message. We actually didn't get any response. Why is that? Because I didn't save my code. Right, makes sense. Now we need to connect once again. We are connecting, we are listening, we are sending the message. As you can see, message received. This is an ACK and this is a response which we just provided. Right, original message. So was original message empty? Username. Let's add here message and we will send it. As you can see, now we are getting original message, user 1, and now the second user, he didn't get anything, right? And now if he will send a message, he will get his own thing, right? He got his own timestamp, message received, acknowledgement. If we will remove acknowledgement, right, we will not receive this message received. This is what is being returned from the function as an acknowledgement that it was received. Just FYI. Okay, so as you can see, we are sending direct messages. So if he's sending, he's receiving data, he's receiving, and the second client, he didn't receive anything. Okay, so this is how we can send direct messages, just by adding to and specific client. All right, now to the most difficult part, how we can handle rooms. Just a brief pause. If you enjoy this type of content or want to watch me live code projects like this, hit subscribe button and ring that bell. It is free, takes 2 seconds, and helps me a ton. As you can see, only a very small percentage of you guys actually subscribe to my channel. Anyways, thank you very much for all the support. Let's continue. Okay, I will first add room information, just an interface we're going to use to track our room data, like room ID, clients. This is going to be a set because we want to keep only unique clients. Here we will pass an ID of our client, like created at and last activity, just some metadata. Then we will have rooms map, in which we will have a room ID and room info reference. Now let's add join room method. So we are subscribing to join room. Here we will provide the ID of the room, probably, we will give client information about each and every room. So you can implement this logic based on your application, on the business logic you have. So it's going to be different for everyone. So let's assume client knows about room, and by default it's going to be room 1. The important part here is that our client will join this room. And then we will also check if the client is not in the room already. Then we will set room ID and add room information with this client. We will add client into the room and update last activity. And then we will emit in a join room that the client was connected. And we will provide the same VR acknowledgement. Also, we need now to send a message to the room. So this was just to join the room, and now room message. So we are sending once again room ID and the message we want to send. And now we are checking if the client is indeed in the room, and if the client didn't join the room, right, we will return an error. We will not send any message. You can decide for yourself how you want to handle errors. So I'm just returning error and the message. And then we're updating room last activity and emitting message into the room message. Once again, these topics can be different, right? We don't have to emit to the same one. We can emit to the different one. It's up to you. Okay, and actually we can test out this logic already. Let's see if it works. So we have our client username, and let's connect both of them. Now we will subscribe to join room. We will remove broadcast, we will remove message because we don't need them. And here as well, we will join room. And now let's send message to join room. And here I will add username just for the difference. And as you can see, we got acknowledgement and we got a response. If I remove ACK, right, well, we can add a logic that handles if we already connected, some message about this, but basically we are creating a set, so this user will be added, but it won't change anything because we are storing them in the set. And now let's send second user, and he connected as, oh, I'm sending to message. We need to send to join room. All right, and as you can see in the response, we got clients in room 2. Okay, now let's send to message room message, and we need to subscribe to room message as well for both of them. All right, so both of them are subscribed and both of them are connected to the room. So let's go to message and room message, and we will send a message from user number 1. And let's send it. And we received, user number 1 received this message actually from, yeah, we got the original message and the ID, and the second user was supposed to get it as well. Yes, he did it from the same user, from user number 1. Now the second user can do the same, right? Let's just demonstrate it. And yeah, here I had username. Let's add message from user number 2. It was excluded here, right? Because I'm ignoring empty streams. And as you can see, I got message from user number 2, and the first user is supposed to get 2 messages. And in fact, he did, one without and one with the message, right? After we edit it. Okay, how can we leave the room? Now let's add this logic as well. So we need actually to list the rooms, right? This is something, yeah, you can add a business logic so the client knows which rooms to connect to. And now we added a leave room logic, which essentially checks if we are in a room, we are hitting leave on the client. So it's an opposite method that we had to join. Now we're hitting leave on a socket, and we are essentially removing it from the map. In your actual application, you will probably have like database. So we are storing this kind of information in Redis for much quicker access, right? Because this is live data. So it's up to you. There are a lot of options. Let's test it out. All right, since I saved the application, everything we will need to do everything from the scratch. So we will need to join both of them to the room. Let's join user number 1, join room. Let's join room number 2. We got 2 users, both of them joined. And let's check, let's add here leave room and subscribe to it for user number 2. So let's test is room message that if we will send it, we send it, and user number 2 received it as well. So both users are receiving it. And now let's disconnect second user. We will add leave room. We sent it. Leave room, we got ID number 1. And now if user number 1 is sending it, we got the message for user number 1, but user number 2, yeah, he didn't receive anything. We got just leave room. So he's out of the room. And this is pretty much all the setup. So once again, we went through how to connect, handle disconnect, handle broadcast to all users, send direct message, join room, send message to the room, list rooms. Well, we didn't go through it, but it's straightforward, and how to leave the room. And I think this is it for this video. I hope it was helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, or you can join my live streams when I code things like this live. So in here I was doing like performance testing and other things. Later on I will post as well results about it as well. In any case, every morning, pretty much every day, I'm doing live streams, and I'm doing 2 Pomodoro sessions. During them, I'm usually silent. And in any case, you can ask me questions and I will check them in the end of my Pomodoros and answer them. Okay, this is it for this video. Thank you very much once again for watching. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.